Greetings dear students, my name is Fahmida Khalik and today we are going to do a wonderful chapter which is interrogative in its title, Should Wizard Hit Mommy? Written by John Hoyer Updike. Now before starting or dealing with the chapter in detail, let's know the poet in a better way. Let's know a few points about him. John Hoyer Updike was an American writer. He was a poet, he was an essayist, he was a short story writer, and he was born in the year 1932 and left for his heavenly abode in the year 2009. One of the four writers actually who won Pulitzer Prize for more than once. He won it many times, children, and he published many of his stories, dozens of his short story collections, poetry, dozens of his criticism work on criticism, literary criticism in his career, during his career only. And talking about his subjects in his short stories, be it novels, so he would consider a normal class, middle class fellow who is like the protagonist of the story, and then he is put in such a situation they have to respond to some turmoil. For example, it can be religious, it can be marital infidelity, it can be obligations, responsibilities, but they are in such a situation where they have to act. So now coming to this story, in the chapter we are dealing with, Should Wizard Hit Mommy? As I already mentioned, this is interrogative in its tone, interrogative sentence, that we have to decide whether wizard should come and hit the mommy or not. So the point here is that why do we have to talk about the situation wherein wizard should come and hit the mother? It's a moral. This whole chapter actually talks about a very serious and a grave issue, which is a moral. It raises a moral question whether do the parents have to, it's a sensitive issue, children, whether parents should be always and in continued interference with the matters of the children. Should they let them decide certain things on their own? Do they have the right to decide for themselves? Be it, what should be the age for that? When should we decide that, okay, this is the fine age for my child, that he should be let on his own to decide certain things, at least in his life? And plus we have to deal with one thing there in the chapter, is it truly worth it that for a person he will change a whole of his personality, whole of his identity just to get some friends? Because here you will find in the story that there is a character who is actually about to lose his identity, and we have to decide these things in the chapter after we deal with it. Now let's begin the chapter. The story goes like this, that there are two important characters in this story, a father and a daughter. The daughter has somehow got this habit of listening to bedtime stories, or when she is ready to take a nap, and then she has a habit of listening to these stories. And Jack, the name of the child is Joe, John is the full name, and Jack, her father, is like, now he is, initially it was that he is kind of promised to do this act for his daughter, but now it has become an obligation sort of a thing from past 2 years. It all started, this storytelling and story listening and narrating thing all started when Joe was 2 years old, and that time his wife got pregnant with another baby. She delivered another baby. The name of that child is Bobby, and he is mentioned very much in the chapter. And now she is again pregnant with the third child, 6 months pregnancy. The lady is holding in the story. It's already mentioned there. You can find it in the text. Now it all happened this way, that Joe got a habit of listening to the story unless she will not sleep properly. She will refuse to take a nap. So this became a habit of the child, and the father was willingly, or he was now obliged to do this kind of a thing for the child. Now It's been 2 years. Joe is now 4 years old, and this thing is continuing like from these past 2 years. It's going on and on and on for the father. Sometimes it is little irksome for the father as well, and sometimes he is irritated by the activity, but he has to do it because now the child is very much used to listening to the story. But here you have to find out, we have to praise the creativity, the intelligence, the wisdom, wit of the father who is creating and fabricating these stories and pulling her into the world of imagination, and then the baby enjoys, the child enjoys these stories, and then how she is happy, and you can realize when you will read the text of the chapter. So children, now what it happens, the storyline of the this whole thing is same. So every Saturday the child is used to listen to these stories, and sometimes it's like everyday story. And now the story goes like this. There is an animal, and that animal is named as Roger. Different persons, like different animals, Roger fish, sometimes it used to be Roger rabbit, Roger pigeon, Roger duck, Roger for example bear. So different animals he would pick up and then name that main central character accordingly with that initial name Roger. So then Roger would be in some problem, and then he would go to the wisest animal of the jungle, and he will go to the owl. The owl will obviously tell him, or he will suggest him, that it's better for you to visit some wizard. He will give him the address of the wizard, and then wizard will ask for the pennies in return and give a solution to whatever the problem of the Roger, like Roger bear, Roger fish, Roger anything would be, and he will tackle with the problem, and the problem is solved, and finally he is home. Roger is happy, and then there is a train arriving from Boston, an imaginary train arriving from Boston with Daddy Roger, and he is getting him, and then that train is getting him back, and then it's a happy sort of ending for the family. Now this all happens that particular day when this girl Joe was of, like, she was 4. So one day when the father was narrating the story, the child, what happened, she was like giving the names, and she gave out a very peculiar name, very particular name for that age. So she is telling him, so let's pick the character today, what are we going to deal with? So she is giving that instantly that name, yeah, let's do Roger Skunk. So now Roger Skunk is the person we are dealing with the story today. So for the first time he heard this word coming from the daughter, and then he realized, okay, yes, she is going to the pre-nursery school, so maybe she has learned this word from there. It's a little sign for the parent that my child is growing up. So finally, when she is giving this name Roger Skunk, now they are dealing with the story of skunk. Now Roger Skunk is a peculiar animal. Why? Because of that stinky smell. They have a trait, they have a character, they have a natural trait of smelling very awful and very bad. So this is again, the Roger Skunk is so awfully smelling, so bad smelling that nobody there in the woodland animals, they're from the woodland animals, befriends. They do not befriend him. They are actually leaving him alone and just getting away from him only because of that bad smell. Now when he is with this kind of a thing, he will stand little aloof, and then he will cry, rolling tears, and he will cry for this thing that, oh God, how desolated and how alone I am. Then finally, what happens, that this Roger Skunk goes to the owl. An owl is suggesting him a way out, that you better go and then talk to the wizard. So wizard, Roger Skunk had only 4 pennies. Now, when the problem was narrated or dictated to the owl, to the wizard finally told him that, okay, fine, now how do you want to smell, what smell would you like to take? So this Roger Skunk is happily saying that, okay, I want to smell like roses. So happily he is giving him okay, make me smelly and make me fragrant like roses. And he is demanding 7 pennies for it. Now what the poor child has to do, what this poor animal has to do, he has to actually get into the well, take rounds and find that there is the magic well, and they have to get each turn a penny out, and then he is collecting these, working hard and getting those pennies, assembling them, making it 7 pennies to to have that rosy smell, and is getting it to the wizard. Now wizard is doing some magic spell, abracadabra, roses, bozes, and then giving him a pat by the wand, and he instantly, there was fragrance of roses all over the place of this wizard. And happy was our character, happy was Roger Skunk, and happy was, side by side there is a story going on in between Jo and her dad, Jack. So happy was Jo. Sad is, for example, there in the story you will find it, children, she is living that life of the character. If Roger Skunk is happy, she feels happy. If Roger Skunk is feeling sad and he is crying, he is with tears, the child has a long face. Okay, so she is also sad for these things. So actually this happens with all of us. It's not to the children only, it happens to all of us when we are watching a movie, we are watching a serial, and then there is a protagonist and then there's a villain. If, for example, he is beating him to the pulp and we are happy, oh my God, as if it is we are doing that job. So we feel that kind of zeal and that enthusiasm, and we feel happy that this character, this favorite character of ours is winning. So is the case with Jo again here. So she is happy that okay, Roger Skunk is happy, and clapping and showing that kind of happiness. Now after that, after some time, when Roger Skunk is, and he befriended many people there, he befriended many animals there in the woodland, and all of them came and they played so many games, soccer, basketball, whatever the games there are mentioned. So they played all of them and they are happy, and he is happy for the first time with all the friends there around him. But when he is home, what happened, children? The mother skunk immediately got that kind of a smell, this is rosy smell, but for that rosy smell it's good for you and me, but not for the mother skunk. So she felt that, oh, some awful smell is coming, what is this? And Roger Skunk is telling him that, yeah, it's me, mother, it's your son. But then she is telling him that, no, you are not my son, how can you be my son, because you have lost your smell. This is not, you're a changed person. And who did this to you? What have you done to yourself? Who did this to you? And she is annoyed. And then she is telling him that, okay. Then he is giving him the address that it's the wizard there at this part of the forest, and he just touched me by the magic wand and I just changed. And he is happy, please don't let it, mother. Let me be with this smell, because I got many friends, otherwise I was alone. Nobody would come and play with me. And then mother was furious that, oh, he wretched fellow, and let me instantly take you back, and he will change you back to whatever you were, with that smell, with that whatever stinky smell you say. So that is your real identity, that is your trait. How can you change yourself? I mean, is it really worth it? So children, this is really a questionable thing. This is not something that we will appreciate, that anybody will appreciate, especially when you are an elder and when you know how things go in this society. So when you are teenagers, when you are, even at your age, you tend to change yourself to appease someone else, to make him or her happy. You tend to change your inner traits, and this is not going to keep them with you for a longer time, I'm afraid. Because whatever you are not and you are trying to be like that, you are faking. So by faking this, taking a fake personality and impressing the people is not what an elder would suggest. And this is not going to be fruitful in the long run. Maybe they will be there for a couple of days, couple of months, couple of years, but what later on? This is not going to remain like this forever. Because this is something which is very innate, and what you are inside, it will come out one day. So then definitely they are going to leave you. So it's never advisable to change your personality this way, something which is very innate, and then be someone else and take a fake personality to impress someone. So we are not born to impress someone and impress at least all of them. So this is how it is. This is what big lesson the story carries. Though superficially it is a very simple story, but as I told you, this really touches a moral question of the role of the parents in upbringing of the children, their intervention, how much it should be there, and second, very important, that is it really worth it that you are changing yourself? And then coming back to the story, yes children, now the mother is instantly taking Roger Skunk back to the wizard, and wizard is actually hitting him with the wand. So the child here is Jo, she is not liking this kind of an ending. Now there starts a kind of an argument, kind of an, I can say that, disagreement between the father and the daughter, that the child for the first time, he realized for the first time this is happening, that Jo is trying to overpower, Jo is trying to overrule her dad and giving the words, filling his mouth with the words that no dad, this is not going to be the proper ending of the story. I want a happy ending. How can he live without friends? This is child's perspective. So both the father and the daughter actually are universalizing this whole chapter, whole thing. Jo is representing the perspective, the viewpoint of a child, and Jack is representing the viewpoint of the parental fraternity. So this is how it goes on and on. Yes, children, there is definitely what we can call the generation gap. Truly it is there and it will always remain there. It will not go. But what do we suggest is this: just think, come to the common senses, come to the common consensus, talk to your parent, discuss the things, and then find a common way. That is quite possible, but that will come with time. When you are little, a few years later, you will try and understand and realize that yes, whatever my parents were telling me, they were right. Because this time you will not be able to judge, or you will not be able to decide so many good and big factors. So there can be n things. So now the mommy is furious and mommy wants him to change back, and he takes him. So Jo is not accepting this ending and she is very furious about it. She is stopping her dad, literally keeping, muffling. She's muffling and putting that holding his mouth, putting a finger on his lips and not letting him speak, just to get that desirable ending, what she wants, that Roger Skunk should remain the way he is, smelling rosy and all, but wizard should in turn hit the mommy, which Jack was not expecting and which Jack is not accepting also. So now when the wizard hits again, the mommy goes and she is furious. She hits the wizard and makes him change her son back to whatever he was, to that old skunky, smelly skunk. And now Roger Skunk is again back. He is a little sad, of course he would be, but then Jo is asking her father that what about his friends? Because Jo is kind of blackmailing the child. If you are not going to agree with my ending, then dad is not going to give you any more stories now on. So I will not narrate any stories further. So then Jo is taking like, okay, fine. Let's do it this way. So now for the time being she is accepting it little while just to end that story, though she never agrees on this kind of ending. And then finally when Jack is narrating the story, he finishes the story the way he wanted it to finish, and it's given in the statement that he never liked the women who are like unmanageable, who are like they will argue, or they will just he liked the people who will hold their attention to him, who will listen to him, who will follow him. And then we see that Roger is back. Now he smells bad and Jo is little sad over it. But then there is very important thing, that Jack is thinking about the whole scenario, whole episode, what happened. And he is really worried about this thing that, oh my God, my daughter has really grown up. And now she has started deciding the endings of the story on her own. It's not just the matter of the story, children. It's about the parent. And so the way Joe was taking the lead, I mean, I am the Roger Skunk. So same way here, he is feeling that, yes, definitely, the mommy is like either me or her mother. So she wants me to hit my wife. She wants to hit her mother. Because when she is not ready to accept this ending for Roger Skunk, how would she accept any such thing for her own self? So he was worried. And then he was in this kind of thing that he just went down. Ultimately, the baby slept, but she was not willing, and she was again and again telling her, just throwing herself down that no, you do have to tomorrow, you do have to tell me another story, and you will do the proper ending. It will be my ending. You will make the wizard hit the mommy. So in this kind of thing going on in his mind, he just went down. And then there are last two paragraphs of the story. Now, what is there in these last two paragraphs? It's very important because something which is little hidden but it's revealed. If we go through it properly, we can understand what he actually wants to tell us. Yes, as I told you in the beginning that Updike will pick up the subjects who are actually middle class. With all these complexities of life, with all these responsibilities, whatever the things they have to do, work hard to make the both ends meet and all these things. And yes, issues related to marriage, the responsibilities that come with marriage. And he is clearly telling, because his wife is all working there. In the middle of the day, she is working. And she is trying to paint that furniture which was downstairs. So he realized that I'm caught in an ugly middle position. So at one side, on one hand, it's my wife, and on the other hand, it's my daughter. So I am caught in, if I am to make my daughter happy by making the wizard hit the mommy, so obviously then I am hitting my wife, that is her mother. So if I am to appease or make happy my wife, then obviously my daughter will be sad. So this is how things are going on, and he's all occupied with these thoughts, with the upbringing and growing up of his child. He's thinking about all these things, what difficulties they will have to face in the coming times, because they are parents and it's their responsibility to upbring the child in a very proper manner. So when he was coming down, he just saw his wife, that she is working and all, and he was very sympathetic. He wanted to finish this story as quickly as possible. And in the middle of the lecture, you will find it at many places that he is telling his daughter that please, okay, now try and sleep, try and get the nap, you are a good child, come, sleep, feel sleepy, okay, put your head down and try and sleep. He just wanted to finish it as quickly as possible and run down to help his wife. But what happened there? The wife gave a kind of remark which appeared, it's not that sarcastic remark, but it appeared to him that time, because he was so occupied with all these things and thoughts, that the moment the wife said this line that, oh, it was a long story, and he got like, it was kind of a hit. Oh my God, what's she saying? I mean, I was all full of all these thoughts and all full of all this, whatever I was trying to make my child sleep quickly, as quickly as possible, and just come down to help my wife. And now here she is. Then he is telling her that yes, it was a long story, poor child. And then he is a little bit sad about this comment. He couldn't understand. He's already preoccupied. Otherwise, this was not such a big deal of that comment. But yes, he's already preoccupied. This happens, children, and this shows off how the marital things go on, how when you are married, you are in a relationship. So these things happen. There will be some kind of bicker in the family at any point of time of these petty things. But to try and avoid, he hated this comment, and then try and avoid, he felt guilty that I am not in a position to give her a happy life, because they do have to both work very hard. Though she is 6 months pregnant and she is toiling and she is working hard. And yes, and he's again feeling that yes, but at the same time the wife is not understanding how he is caught in between, because she was hardly aware what happened there upstairs. And then coming and telling her that he felt little repulsive at that point of time, that he didn't talk to her, he didn't want to be her, he wanted to have a bit of quality time with his own self and wanted to be away from all these responsibilities, though for a little time he wanted to be away. He didn't talk, he didn't want to touch her, he didn't want to talk to her, he didn't want to be with her otherwise he was very much in a hurry to get down and help the wife. But that remark changed each and everything. So these are the things that do come with when you are sharing a house with some other person. Obviously there are things like that. Now coming to the very important point, that is the themes of the chapter in conclusion. So yes children, as I told you that it's not worth it when you are changing your whole personality. Now coming to this, and in conclusion I would like to tell you that do you really know that why Roger Skunk or this skunks, why do they smell so bad? Yes, it is actually a shield of protection for them. It is actually, so this smell did not let the predator come and hunt them. So this was a life covering for the child, and the mother was trying to keep that protection for the child. The child wasn't aware. The child wasn't knowing this fact, but the adult was very much aware that he will be eaten up by someone. What is the fun of having that rosy smell? So this is the thing, what an elder person can see. At times, your age did not, it will not let you, though you would be wishing to see that, but it will not let you to see beyond that curtain. So the mother was completely aware that this is the life shield of my son. How can I let it be away from him? So that is why she was furious and made him change again, go back to that old fowly spell. So this is how it is. So sometimes this is really and pretty dangerous when you try and shun away your traits, shun away your nature. Whatever is there in the nature, it's something very innate, and the person who would be loving and impressed by that kind of a thing, definitely this is not going to last longer. So children, with this thing, I would like to take a leave. Till we meet next, bye-bye and take care of yourselves.